இதயம் காட்டன் வழங்கும் ஆதி மனிதன் ஞாயிறுதோறும் உங்கள் சாணக்கியாவில் காணத் தவறாதீர்கள்.
Very good evening to all of you. I know this is going to be a bit different session than what is being discussed with facts and figures. But I have a responsibility to address the gathering. Like, we have fought for independence. Many people, struggled a lot, gave their lives, out of which we got independence. But are we still independent? So, if in that context, everybody have got a responsibility to ensure that we still stay with Bharatiya minds. Rather, all my introduction, what she has given, I have come here only as a Bharatiya psychologist. So, we all know about how colonization and then how the colonial impact happened with all of us, and then what all got changed and how it made a great impact. At times I used to move with people when I talk to them in generic note. I used to feel the world is totally neutral, like people have a neutral idea. With that, people used to ask, many times I've heard, but for Britishers, there are no mode of transportation. We don't have a better transportation. But for Britishers, we didn't have infrastructures. But for Britishers, we didn't have educational system so much grown, discipline. So all these aspects, people used to praise Britishers, and this mentality is still there available with us. It's still live with us, rather. So we did not think about Rajendra Cholan, who had us, great ships conquering countries. We had infrastructures and secret tunnels in various temples. Lord Rama was one of the best examples for discipline. And we had even, the Vimanas, where, the aviation industries, which was found by Britishers later. So this thought process is forgot by Indians at many point of time, even in many areas when we try to promote ourselves. Unfortunately, the session was given to me in English, otherwise I would have even made it in Tamil. So this is all because of the mindset that literally made us to be or behave like this. Now, what did psychology relate with Indian independence? The most important aspect that India got into trouble is mainly because of psychological aspect. Like, Britishers read the psychology of Indians. They rewired the brain neurosystem, and then, that really created a problem. Now, what all they did, in fact, the previous speaker, Mani sir, was also mentioning the deception. They made self-deception on cognitive loads of human brain. They applied Adler's theory of inferiority with us. Psychological slavery system was practiced and patterned. They gave us a lot of fear psychosis. And they made a literal cognitive condition in which we still are not able to come out of that situation. East India Company had not actually intended to govern India. This dialogues we used to hear from many people who used to say about Britishers, who wanted to praise Britishers rather. Yes, they didn't really govern. But a coin has both sides, obviously. The second side of the coin was British evangelical units, which ascribed cultural meanings through their British way of learning. And this was totally sowed in the people's mind, not in a very forcible manner, but in a lighter manner, as if you demean yourself and then try to praise rest other cultures of the world. Now, they made people into three different categories, three sect of people. The first sect of people would remain friendly with Britishers. The second set of people will be muted, rather they will not give any of their opinion. The third set of people is like dead. That means they don't exist at all. Right. How did this psychological tool being practiced with them? Okay. Now, ahistorical facts, as Dr. Pillai sir was mentioning in the morning, there are a lot of ahistorical facts which is spread among people and made us to believe, yes, this is what we are, and we should have been still more better. So this kind of thought was sowed in the mind of Indian. Objective stage-bound history, this really created the classes, segregated them with a different meaning, even though it was defined to be for different meaning, as Prabhakar sir was mentioning just before. The caste system was totally coined in a different manner that people will understand it the other way around. Adult-child relationship, which is literally called as our tradition and values. The respect to elders was absolutely, demoralized. Then, a small example, in fact, Dr. Pillai sir was also mentioning in the board of studies. I'll tell you a classic case. One simple case I have taken. There was an author called Madhusudan, a Bengali author. right, in 1861, he wrote a document called as Meghnad Badkavya. How many of you know this? This is one of the famous Bengali writings, rather. His full name is actually Michael Meghnad Datta. And what he did is, he has written Ramayana, no doubt about it, but he has, probably focused Rama or shown to the public Rama as a person who is weak-kneed. Like, நம்ம தமிழ்ல சொல்லக்கூடாது, but முட்டி செத்தவங்கன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு weak-kneed personality. Whereas Ravan was so aggressive in nature, his son was so aggressive in nature, and he was killed by a demonized character called Rama. So this book was called as popular. Even if you find in the internet, you will find it like, the most important scriptures of Bengal language. So this kind of negative thought process is being created, especially through education system. And we all feel like British education system is the best. Now, what did Britishers used psychologically and what did they misuse? Indians were strong in all these aspects. They rightly used certain aspects and they rightly misused certain aspects. What they used is Indians' knowledge, resource, intelligence, manpower, and strategy. So all these were there in all our Samhitas, were there in our Yaksha Prashnams. Any questions is answered in Yaksha Prashnam. Vidura Niti, like these kind of documents were pre-runners. And we never knew about it, rather it was not spread in the market, like what is being spread of British ideologies. What they misused is exactly our loyalty, obedience, respects, acceptance and forgiveness. So these were the area they wanted to play with us. And normally when a war or this kind of colonization happens, what actually, the strategy that the psychological aspects are concerned with is, first they will touch your value systems, then they will touch your belief. Third is emotion, motives, reasoning capability, and finally your behavior. When all these are changed, obviously your behavioral pattern varies. It's a psychological warfare, rather, I would say. Now, what are the psychological techniques that they use? I just wanted to tell as a technical person, like indirect influence is one phenomena, persuasive psychology. How do marketing companies comes and sells a product to you? It is exactly the persuasive psychology. And make-believe strategy and ethnic anthropology is the area they worked upon, and they literally divided us. Right. So due to time factor, I wanted to make a big presentation to you with about 48 slides. I'm going to short it down. So my logic here is, British Empire has not ended. It exists in minds of many. The many is not common public I'm talking about. It's especially the media ideologies that is being invested in people. What impact did Western culture influence create? Now, this is the main area. In fact, my focus audience is not common public here. Especially, I'm going to focus on parents, the upbringing of children in future who are going to narrate the fate of the country in probably in 10, 20 years down the line. So, even after independence, their narrative is on what aspects it is on. Educational system and values, obedience and family values, as Prabhakar sir was mentioning, women empowerment and respect, the physique of every Indian before and now is absolutely changed, including me. Gaming, food, health and immunity, your body clock system. Can someone at least raise that I go to bed at 8 o'clock and wake up at 4 o'clock? Can there be any one exemption? No. Why do you blame British directly? Yes, it is all, not only the British, it is probably all the influences that is creating us to make this way. Lifestyle and stressful living. Any reason, any stressful situation or any conflict that you take in your lifetime right now is literally invested because of your lifestyle of living. I scold my child, if you make a root cause analysis, end of the day you will find your lifestyle is wrong. So this is all invested. Malnutrition and reduced breastfeedings, change in behavior finally. Right, where did we change this educational system? Learning and perceptions. There is a saying like Upanishad saying that Guraustu Maunam Vyakyanam Sishyastu Chinna Samshayaha. We had Gurukul system where the children used to study with the teacher. He learns not only lessons, he learns life lessons as well. That system is totally eradicated. We have 60 students. It takes 1 minute for a teacher to observe a student keenly, 60 minutes is over. So what kind of education he will get out of it? Then education, what not, make people as machines. This is one intention of British education system. We were Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, now we are totally not that. Literally, at least with respect to education and the organizations that we work for. Tell me a situation where two bachelors look for a job. Will the one help the other? He will be literally greedy rather to get into that job and then earn money out of it. Forget your identity. This is very importantly made. And Alexanders were made great. Lord Mountbattens were made great. And Rajendra Cholan and Rajaraja Cholan or any other ruler in India were not mentioned great. Obedience. We had Mata Pita Guru Daivam. We prostrate them in the morning. We do pujas to them and it is all gone. And the increase of old age homes have come up more. So these are all personal issues probably, but the mentality is still not be repaired. We have to do it. Social isolation. Families, the meaning of families was 10-15 people earlier. Now husband and wife joining together itself is a joint family. So that kind of, no, serious. Because I handle a lot of, divorce cases which comes to me for marriage life. The situation is literally like they focus on their life, they focus on their career, but they literally forget a value behind it. The values is something which is missing. So, post this session, at least we can take as a homework of at least applying where all we lack at family. And this is especially not for elders. For children, we'll have to insist this and they'll have to listen to us when we talk about value. We hardly see children here. I mean, there are no children, I believe. At least at the age of 15, 16, I would request the organizers to conduct programs and invite more children. They have to understand value because all the topics, all the histories that were told, we people might be probably knowing. But we may not be able to exactly reciprocate the way that the speaker spoke. So it is our duty to bring children here and they are going to absolutely protect this culture way forward. And Indian values, we respected women like anything and women was also taken as a tool by Britishers to probably divide us. And there was a big debate recently on, in the TV channels on Manusmriti. I know how worst it talks about women. In Sloka 3.56 in Manusmriti, it says, Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devata. Where a woman is worshipped, all kind of flourishness will be there. Now, tell me a situation, do we do this? If we do this, why do we need prevention of sexual harassment at offices? If this is taken as a policy by every individual, organizations do not have this policy, should not have this law at all. And we had good times that we used to listen stories from our grandparents. Family system. You ask a child, do you know about this? Wait, pa, I'll tell you. He goes to Google, finds and tells. And, I mean, just a minute in Tamil. பரிமேல் அழகர் திருக்குறள் உரையை படிச்சுட்டு இன்னைக்கு பொலிட்டிஷியன்ஸ் இருக்கிற திருக்குறள் உரை வரைக்கும் நம்ம படிக்க வேண்டியிருக்கு. So that entirely translates, that entirely gives a misinterpretation. So this is to be avoided. As responsible parents, we have the role to do. Fear and trust, lack of trust. I'll tell you a small example. Idhukku periya example is not required. We have a city in Maharashtra which is called as Sani Shiknapur, where the houses don't even have door. But today, we have doors, locks, automation system, plus watchman, plus watchdog. So this much of fear, it all came from the, probably after 1940s or 1920s or somehow. We were all so bold, we managed ourselves. They made us so inferior that we felt all our ideologies, logics, everything wrong, and then we had a kind of confusion or probably a psychodramatic intervention happened because of this colonization. Physics, everywhere, psychologists are not required in India. I again stress, psychologists are not required in India if every citizen reads Bhagavad Gita, if every citizen practices yoga. I'll tell you the best exercise every human being does in the morning is using a Western closet. That was a yoga practice rather. It makes your stool flow proper. We have RO waters, take all the water out and then give the compressed water to you. Vacuum cleaners made women not to bend, and that is why C-sections are getting more cesarean than normal delivery. And insurance companies plays a vital role. The moment you get admitted, they say water came out, baby turned around, all stories, and then they wanted to make money out of it. Our system, is we had deliveries at home, not at hospitals. All this have changed. Games, children had habit of physical gaming, not with PUBG, left right buttons. You know the strength of physical gaming? It gives you an exertion. It gives more oxygen to the brain. Also, it develops fine and gross motor skill for children. But with gaming, obviously, it makes you mad and then think on the same algorithm and you become a machine. Indian values, when cooking, like, when you used to cook at families, somebody cuts the vegetables, somebody washes the dish, somebody gives you or helps you at cooking. But now, just a click in mobile, order at Zomato or Swiggy, done. No, I mean, it is not just a joke. I'm just here to again and again emphasize on the lost values that is to be regained. It is our moral responsibility to ensure this is done with children. Health is the next aspect. What were the category of health diseases, sir, probably? Vadam, Kabam, Pittam. Only these three, right? Go to internet. Please find out the number of diseases. You will be astonished to see 10,000 plus list under 14 categories. Why this is caused? வெறும் வாதம் பித்தம் கபத்தை மட்டும் ஹேண்டில் பண்ண ஆளுங்க தானே நம்ம. To sell pharma, to sell medicines, the first sale that they do is your diseases. Sell the disease, then you can effectively sell the medicine. So we had solution for this, we never tried upon. I think almost 70 to 80% of people here, including me, go to allopathy because tomorrow I have to go to office, I want an immediate recovery. We forgot Siddha and Ayurveda. So this is the trend of psychological impact that is being created. Pulithevan, Sasivarnathevar, who fought with tigers, avvalav தைரியமா இருந்த ஒரு community, is now just wearing a mask for an invisible virus. So see the level of mental immunity that is made. This is called as behavioral immune system. Than your bodily immune system, your behavioral immune system is more important to revitalize yourself, make yourself energetic and then come out of the problem. So from happy faces, we are seeing a lot of rude faces. From smiles, we have transmitted to smileys. So that's the biggest shame of human society. And one more final thing of still what British rule is being followed in India is Sunday holiday. Like, we literally enjoy Sunday as holiday. Remember, there was a revolt which was not covered elsewhere. There was a revolt, probably G must be knowing, especially not to have Sunday as holiday. Because for Hindus, Sunday is one day which is very, very important to do their sun god prayer. And that's the starting day of the week. But it's evangelization which made Sunday they wanted to go to church, so they gave a holiday. So this is still practiced. And Sunday is like, what is Sunday for you? Wake up at 11 o'clock, have lunch at 2 o'clock, go out at 5 o'clock. Forget prayers. So we did it at least, yes, fine. Now it's time for us to shape the future. It is time for us to shape the next generation which is coming up. And how to overcome? Ensure cultural values at home. Please teach your children like what was followed as tradition. What was our convention? What is our family practice? For the last 5 generations, who are we? And where did we come from? Dine together with family. Spend some time sitting with them. When I ask some parents, they used to say, I spend a lot of time with my children. Spending physical time is not important. And giving your mental time with them is very important. During that time, talk about our histories. When you feel at some point of time, I don't have a content, come to this kind of program or listen to authentic history or read books and ensure that it is properly conveyed to the children. None of us do this. At least for the past 20 years, I have never seen any family talking about Indian history. We talk about Pei, Budam, Pisas and all. What is required? You really have to talk something which is to continue for 10, 20 more years for these children to take it and then experiment it and then live their life. Give them awareness, real awareness of what is to be understood, build self-reliance for children, make them learn history from proper authors. Again, I insist this again. Know your cult, your family tree and teach children accordingly. Children learn from us, so we'll have to behave sensibly, culturally and traditionally. Only by this we will be able to regain. Otherwise, Britishers are just out, but British Raj is still there in our mind. So let us all strive to make and help the society to come up. So with that, thank you for this opportunity. I am sure I am an odd man out. You would be waiting for the interesting session of MRV sir. So thank you so much. Bharat Mata ki jai.